A Southern California beach bum.
It's free food, it's awesome.
A preacher in Central Florida.
We would give up our freedom for freebies.
Pushing people to sign up for food stamps in Brooklyn.
We are just a hair away from large-scale hunger, malnutrition, and starvation in America.
Scenes from across an increasingly dependent nation. This is Fox News reporting, the great food stamp binge. Hello, I'm Brett Baer, reporting from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Why the USDA? Well, for historical and political reasons, food stamps fall under the Agriculture Department's domain. In fact, food stamps will cost taxpayers a projected $78 billion this year, a staggering amount that's more than doubled since 2008. Indeed, food stamps and other food assistance add up to more than 70% of the USDA's outlays. According to a just-released Fox News poll, a majority of voters think most of the 46 million plus food stamp recipients are taking advantage of the system and not truly in need. You've heard stories of food stamp waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, this hour we'll also look at the cost to the recipients and to the American character. During this show, you can share your thoughts via Twitter. Be sure to use hashtag Fox News Reporting. We begin in New York City, where one of America's most energetic proponents of food stamps is working to get more people signed up.
Individuals have a certain income limitation.
You're watching a team of determined activists preparing their plan of action.
The guidelines change a little bit. You feel all set and ready to go?
They'll be walking around the streets of Brooklyn. The mission? To sign up as many people as they can for food stamps. The New York City Coalition Against Hunger in action.
A lot of working people don't know they're eligible.
Joel Berg, a former Clinton administration official, is the organization's executive director.
Right down there.
We have some information, pre-screen people for SNAP benefits.
SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
It's the new name for the food stamp program.
In 2008, the federal government officially dropped the term food stamps, partly to fight the stigma associated with that term. But most everybody still calls them food stamps, even people at the coalition.
Tell them that you're pre-screened and that you would like to apply for food stamps.
Berg believes folks here don't want to go to a government office to find out if they're eligible. So his team set up shop at this supermarket.
We're very close to 50% of our customers, on a monthly basis are using the SNAP benefits.
Ivan Bueno is the store manager.
We feel it's a positive thing for the community.
Another part of the effort to reduce the stigma of food stamps was to get rid of the stamps altogether. The government benefit is now electronically delivered via EBT cards. They work just like any debit card. Food stamp usage has been on the rise since 2000, but it's exploded under President Obama. In 2008, 28 million were receiving food stamps. Now, about 47 million do. One big factor was Obama's stimulus package. In addition to pumping more money into the program, it made qualifying for food stamps easier. The president insists increased spending on food stamps in the stimulus bill did indeed stimulate the economy.
3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and 2 that are definitely eligible. And
Joel Berg says it literally saved lives.
We are just a hair away from large-scale hunger, malnutrition, and starvation in America.
Do you really believe that?
No question whatsoever.
You're just laughing.
Absolutely preposterous. Given the fact that only 1 in 20 American adults say that they were hungry for even a single day during the course of a year, I think starving is a bit silly, isn't it? The reality is that American poor people are not malnourished. They, in fact, eat too much food.
If Joel Berg is the great advocate of food stamps, Robert Rector of the Heritage Foundation is the great skeptic.
The hunger advocates are clearly distorting the data and creating a huge mirage of a problem that doesn't really exist. It distracts our attention from the real issues. how you really help the poor rather than making them more dependent on government.
They denied you because your income changed.
Berg says 80% of the people who turn to his coalition for help are ultimately approved. Some people they spoke to never thought they'd be eligible.
I'm going to give you my number. This is my direct extension. My name is Denise, and we could help you with that as well, okay? She wasn't aware that she can still apply just for her daughter, so I did let her know.
You and your volunteers stop and explain food stamps to just about every person on the street.
Yes.
It could be construed as recruitment.
We would never, ever try to convince someone who didn't want these benefits to get them.
This is not just an academic question. Recruiting people to go on food stamps is against the rules. But as you will see, the USDA itself has gone right up to that line. Did they cross it? Their strategy to get past no. But first, John Roberts and the new face of food stamps. A character you won't forget.
Snap.
When the safety net becomes a hammock after the break. Welcome back to Fox News Reporting, the great food stamp binge. How do you account for the record number of people on food stamps? A new Fox News poll finds that a substantial number of people think the severity of recession simply means that more qualify for assistance today. However, a larger number believe the government has made it too easy to get assistance, and people are taking advantage of that. No doubt, in these tough times, many people in the United States worry about feeding themselves and their families. America is a generous nation, and few would deny government help to those who need it. But we also realize every dollar we give to people who should be fending for themselves is one less dollar we can use for other purposes, including helping the truly needy. Then again, some people don't seem to worry about that. John Roberts found one of them in La Jolla, California.
Meet Jason Greenslade, food stamp recipient.
Another day in the life of Jason living at Rat Life.
And what exactly is the rat life?
Well, your typical day. Are you like a early morning guy, get out and get some waves? Or you
No.
sort of later in the afternoon?
Yeah, later in the afternoon kind of guy. Wake up, go down the beach, meet up with my friends, skate it up, hit on some chicks, want a beer? Start drinking.
All day, every day.
We caught up with Greenslade in La Jolla, California, close to where he grew up. The 29-year-old has chosen the life of a beach bum in this seaside paradise. With no fixed address, Jason has, for the last couple of years, floated from place to place, staying with family, pals, and girls he's dated.
This is a nice day today, though, huh?
He gets by with a little help from his friends and you, the taxpayer.
My EBT SNAP card. It's got the coast of California on it.
So how do you get a SNAP card?
Just go out to the Human Resource Office, have your birth certificate and your Social Security card. I don't got a paycheck coming in, so I qualify. That's that.
And how often do you have to do that? Is it every month, every 6 months?
They got it now to where you only do it once a year.
Things have changed. Back in 1996, if you were an able adult like Jason with no family, there were limitations. You could get food stamps for only 3 months every 3 years. The exception, if you were working at least a 20-hour work week or participated in a work fair or training program. President Obama wiped away those restrictions when he signed his stimulus bill in 2009.
There you go. Let's go.
And in 2010, Obama used his regulatory powers to extend the suspension of those welfare to work requirements.
So you fill out a form for a SNAP card, they give you that for a year, no questions asked.
Yeah, good to go. You're golden.
It's $200 a month, right?
Yeah, $200, free money. This is my job right here to make sure everything's rolling smoothly. Make sure the sun's up and the girls are out.
How big a part of your life is surfing?
Well, I surf every day. It's wonderful, man. Get out with the boys and have a good time. Living the life, never a dull moment. Another day in paradise.
Party at your house later?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Party at my bed.
So it's off to the gourmet section of the local food mart.
I got my rainbow roll. We got ahi, salmon, eel, yellowtail with rice and avocado. And then they had lobster on special. We got lobster.
Checkout counter. Food stamp card at the ready.
$200 to $100 a month, and you just go like, boom.
Thank you for shopping with us.
Just like that.
Please remove your bags.
All paid for by our wonderful tax dollars.
Is that typically the type of thing that you'll get on the SNAP card?
Yeah, I'll usually get sushi, but make it my own way. But they didn't have any good fish, so I just got the pre-made stuff.
EBT lobsters.
Blasphemous right there.
Rather be broke, steal and rob.
I'll bring her over, let you guys figure
Am I gonna scare?
For sure.
One of you guys are. EBT lobster. Does anybody want a piece?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that this notion of holding down a steady job just is something that is not in your wheelhouse?
That's not the direction I'm going right now.
That's just not something that appeals to you, though?
Not whatsoever.
I have to say, I didn't really know what to expect when I sat down with Jason. I was really taken aback that he seemed completely unembarrassed about sponging off the rest of us in this manner. This was a guy who struck me as capable of pulling his own weight, as resourceful, even intelligent, and went to San Diego State for a while, and then to a technical school where he trained to become a recording engineer. But then he realized what he really wanted in life.
I'm skating to class, and here comes Motley Crue walking down the halls, all carrying a bottle of Jack, partying, and I just realized, like, I don't want to be the guy recording those guys. Like, I want to be the guy being those guys.
He wanted to be a rock star.
So you decided that was going to be your life from
Yeah, and I want to be heard. I don't want to listen.
And wait until you hear what else Jason had to say.
John Roberts returns a little later. But first, food stamps offer a helping hand. But what about people who say thanks, but no thanks? The USDA's ill-conceived scheme to push food stamps in Spanish-speaking communities. An expose you might find hard to stomach. And during the break, tell us what you think of the show so far. We're on Twitter. Use the hashtag Fox News Reporting. America has long been a magnet for immigrants whose industry, mettle, and drive has made our country stronger. Did the USDA try to undermine those virtues in order to expand the food stamp rolls? Peter Boyer reports from Florida.
See, self-reliance has always been an integral part of our culture.
In the central Florida town of Muscote, Pastor Felix Ramirez preaches a message of self-reliance.
Listen to this. They might end up giving away their freedom for freebies.
You stress to them the importance of self-reliance, of counting on themselves, of not having a handout.
I want to remind them of who they were, who we are. Self-reliance and self-respect go together.
Which might explain why Pastor Ramirez is still angered by something he heard from the USDA a while back. Our story begins in 2008, ends a few years later, and provides a troubling glimpse into how a USDA, under both Republican and Democratic administrations, has come to see its mission as pushing food stamps on groups of people reluctant to take them. The Agriculture Department produced a series of Spanish-language radio spots. The USDA made them available to any radio station that wanted to play them.
The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and its Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, are proud to present the radio miniseries Happiness Park. Enjoy the show while you savor a delicious piece of fresh fruit. Let's begin.
Happiness Park is like any other soap opera. That is, one whose characters are obsessed with food stamps. Each of the 10 spots makes a separate point. Episode 1 tries to bust the myth that food stamps are welfare and only the unemployed can qualify.
Roberto and I just can't seem to make ends meet.
Meet Monica.
It's not that we don't love each other, but we always fighting over money.
She's talking to her friend, Claudia.
Did Roberto find a job?
Not yet, and that worries me, because with what I earn as a babysitter is just not enough.
Apply for SNAP.
SNAP? But isn't it this, like, welfare?
No, SNAP is a supplemental nutrition assistance program that helps you afford healthy food during difficult times. Just do it.
In episode 2, Monica indeed does it. By episode 3, she tries to convince a friend, Ramon, to sign up.
I don't think I qualify. I own my house, and I live with my daughter and grandson.
You might. SNAP is a program to help people. If you don't apply, you'll never know.
It's very highly offensive, and we can count on our own culture to make a success story.
In episode 4, Ramon does sign up for food stamps, and then urges another friend to do so as well. She is very reluctant. Her name is Diana.
I don't need help from anyone. My husband makes enough to take care of us.
Aye, girl. When are you going to learn?
This gentleman better not say that to any of my ladies in this church, because the ladies in this church will tell him off.
It turns out that Diana is the most stubborn denizen of Happiness Park, but they wear her down over the next few episodes. In episode 5, we learn her daughter, Suzette, is overweight. In episode 6, Suzette comes in last in a swimming race. Diana's friends keep up their full-court press.
It doesn't matter if your husband works full-time or if you own a car. I was approved and Roberto has a job.
Yes, I know. Snap, snap, snap. Suzette, put on your shoes. We're leaving.
Why are you angry?
Do it for your own health and for Suzette's.
It's appalling. It's insulting.
Christine Saltos and her husband Alfredo own and operate the Havana Delight restaurant in the central Florida town of Bartow. She recalls hearing Happiness Park episodes on the radio.
And when you hear this and you recognize that it's aimed at
the Hispanics,
what's your reaction?
My gut reaction is that they're calling us stupid.
Episode 7 is an eye-opener for the reluctant Diana. She goes shopping with Monica.
Look, it's your turn to pay. Wait, don't use food stamps in front of everybody.
There's no stamps. SNAP gives you a card.
Wow, it looks like a bank card.
Exactly, Diana. No one has to know. Apply. You could gain so much.
That's not why we came to America.
For you, my friend.
We take care of our own without any help, and you get ahead on your own.
Back in Happiness Park, Diana is still not convinced, insisting in the next episode that she didn't need help from anyone. But everything changes in episode 9, which, according to the USDA production script, was written to overcome the barrier of pride.
Bueno. Hello? Yes? What? But
what happened? What happened?
Diana's crying. She's at the hospital.
Thankfully, Diana survives.
I thought it was a heart attack.
What?
Yes, I felt horrible, but the doctor told me that it was indigestion.
Indigestion?
The doctor scolded me and told me I need to lose weight. He said I need to eat healthier foods like fruits and vegetables. I should have listened to you. What's the program called?
It's called SNAP. By the last episode, Diana signs up. Of course, she doesn't know that, contrary to the radio novella suggestion that food stamps will help her lose weight, the USDA's own research actually shows a correlation between SNAP card use and obesity in non-elderly adult women, like Diana.
We actually think unconditional efforts by the best food stamp president in American history to maximize dependency is terrible for the future of this country.
When the national food stamp binge became an issue in the 2012 presidential campaign, the radio novella series became a news story. An embarrassed USDA pulled the series from circulation. Undersecretary of Agriculture Kevin Concannon admitted, "Some of the content in these advertisements does not meet the standards of what I consider to be appropriate outreach." But it turns out Hispanics were not the only group targeted by the USDA's outreach squad.
Coming up, breaking down mountain pride in North Carolina. The USDA didn't back away from this effort. In fact, they gave it an award. A food stamp bust in Columbus, Ohio, just this week. Fox News reporting was there. These undercover state food stamp investigators say this store let them buy alcohol with food stamps.
State liquor agents, police officers.
The store was cited for illegal use of a food stamp card, though the clerk told us she thought she was selling the undercover officer an energy drink. Either way, in the great food stamp binge, we seem to be hearing these stories more and more. It's another reason why some people are puzzled that the USDA is trying so hard to get even more people to sign up for food stamps, whether they say they want them or not. One of those efforts was in North Carolina, where 17% of the people get food stamps, more than double the number a decade ago. Part of that increase, Peter Boyer found, is apparently efforts to break down mountain pride.
The music, one of the oldest art forms in America. Its mournful strains tell the story of a God-fearing people who have long lived in remote and unforgiving places like the vast Appalachian reaches of Ashe County, North Carolina.
This has not been an environment in which it's easy to get by.
Lee McMillan is a local businessman.
It's been tough times here.
What kind of folks did this land produce?
They were a fiercely independent bunch of people, and they believed strongly in self-reliance.
Lonnie Gabbard is a retired engineer.
They may do or do without.
For countless generations, the people of Ashe County made do by growing tobacco, raising cattle on small family ranches, and producing lumber from the vast forests that still surround them.
What did they do when hard times came?
My daddy got a job logging.
Dub Lewis is a retired sawmiller.
And he got $2.50 a day and board. He could have given up, but he didn't do that. This mountain pride took over.
We heard a lot in Ashe County about this thing called mountain pride, this deeply held belief that it's best to do for oneself. But as the federal government sees it, mountain pride is a problem. You see, the government tries to track how many people in an area are eligible for food stamps, and how many have signed up for benefits. When a place like Ashe County stands out with an unexpectedly high number of residents refusing food stamps, a network of social service types, from local, state, and federal government, and nonprofits too, springs into action.
This money's out there. If you're not taking it, there's something wrong with you.
That's correct.
Jeff Sessions, Republican senator from Alabama, is angry that the government wants to coax people onto the food stamp rolls.
The idea that a person says, I don't want it, I don't need it, and then you feel it's your obligation to talk them into taking it. That makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. They think they should overcome mountain pride.
Here's what happened. A local social services worker, partly funded by a USDA grant, figured out that while folks here valued their self-reliance too much to actually accept government money for groceries, they would accept it to buy seeds they could plant in their gardens. That proved to be the opening everyone was looking for. In just a year, according to the government, food stamp participation jumped 10% in Ashe County, and that was just the beginning. Folks here eventually became more open to other forms of government aid as well. Social worker Brandy Legg's ingenuity earned her a trip to the annual American Association of SNAP Directors Convention in Columbus, Ohio, where she received the Gold Hunger Champions Award from the USDA. The citation applauded the very important strategy in counteracting what they described as mountain pride.
It makes me very angry, very angry.
Unbelievable. It seems to me it's in reverse. We should be getting an award for the people we get off the food stamps and find them a job.
At its deepest level, the motivation that drives a government to encourage people to take benefits they say they don't need. I think it's a difficult thing to understand.
The USDA, they declined to speak with us. They did send us this 39-page report, basically summing the USDA's mission. It seems to boil down on some level to put as many eligible Americans on the food stamp rolls as possible.
That is exactly the way they see their mission. They explain it in their documents.
Senator, this is a big government, spends a lot of money. A lot of it goes to prosperous people. Tax breaks for their vacation homes, or some folks out in Hollywood who buy those fancy electric cars get a lot of help from the government. So what's wrong exactly with needy folks, poor folks, getting their share of government cheese?
There's nothing wrong with the poor people who need help getting help.
We have always helped those that needed help. It's been through the churches, it's been through organizations.
If it all falls through the cracks and these people cannot get food and they need it to feed their children, I think that the government should help them.
If you just give them money, and if it's just a question of money and benefits, then you can diminish and dull their incentive to work and achieve and to rise above difficult circumstances. So I think there's a real moral question here.
What would the consequence be if mountain pride were broken?
Well, it's showing up in the workforce. I know one particular sawmill that has 2 mills and he can't run one because he can't get enough help.
Even these days?
Even these days. Restaurants are having problems in town getting waitresses. People are just becoming used to getting something for nothing.
If you had one brief message to deliver to President Obama, what would you say?
I would say that for those of us who still possess that mountain pride, leave us alone.
Coming up, the unintended consequences of government welfare. Are we unlearning the lessons of our past? Might this California 29-year-old be Exhibit A? And get on Twitter during the break. Tell us what you think. Use the hashtag Fox News Reporting. So why are food stamps administered by the USDA? Turns out back in the Great Depression, the first food stamps aimed to solve 2 problems. While poor people in cities were going hungry, farmers were growing a surplus of food. So the Department of Agriculture sold stamps that gave half off produce items farmers couldn't get rid of. That program ended in 1943. Among the reasons, surpluses had disappeared. In the 1960s, the Johnson administration launched the current food stamp program as part of its war on poverty. It had nothing to do with farm policy, but there was a political advantage to keeping food stamps under the USDA. It made each massive farm bill popular with lawmakers from cities and rural communities alike. In a surprise move, however, a group of breakaway House Republicans just scuttled the latest farm bill. They now want a separate vote on food stamps, hoping to draw attention to what they see as wasteful spending that can also make the poor too dependent on government. They weren't the first to worry about that. It was on the minds of those who launched the war on poverty.
The days of the dole in our country are numbered. Our American answer to poverty is not to make the poor more secure in their poverty, but to reach down and to help them lift themselves.
It sounded really good at the time, too. You know, give a hand up, not a hand out.
At that time, Charles Murray was a 21-year-old history major at Harvard, a liberal policy wonk coming of age in heady times.
We were really optimistic in the 1960s because we'd never tried to use government programs to eradicate poverty. Turned out to be really, really tough.
Murray would come to understand how tough a few years later. After earning a PhD in political science at MIT, he went to work for a Washington think tank with a government contract to evaluate the effectiveness of the Great Society's anti-poverty programs. Murray's groundbreaking research transformed him from a liberal to a libertarian and helped transform the nation's welfare policy as well. Was there a eureka moment during your research?
There was. I came across a source which had calculated the poverty rates back to World War II. The poverty rate had been going down even faster before the war on poverty. And that was the moment I said, oh, it's only after the war on poverty was a few years along that we stopped making progress.
It slowed.
It stopped.
Murray's landmark 1984 book, Losing Ground, not only concluded the war on poverty failed to help people out of poverty, but it had devastating consequences for an underclass stuck in a culture of dependency. Your findings were controversial.
Very much so. They're conventional wisdom now. Oh, they were conventional wisdom by the early 1990s.
When you can, you must work, because welfare should be a second chance, not a way of life.
By 1996, a Republican Congress passed and the Democratic president signed a welfare reform bill. In the years since, that law has been hailed as a success, helping people get off the welfare rolls and gain self-respect. But Murray thinks America is unlearning many lessons of the recent past.
Food stamps as a specific program is one of the most obvious ways in which the government has reached into American neighborhoods and says it's okay to be dependent. The cost of that is the kind of pride that used to be the hallmark of Americans.
That puts Murray directly at odds with Joel Berg, who, you'll remember, laments that the stigma that still surrounds food stamps is making it hard for groups like his to fight the specter of mass hunger in America. Shouldn't there be at least some stigma?
No.
At all?
No more than there should be a stigma for a small business person getting a government grant or loan. No more than there should be a stigma for someone riding their private car over a government paved road.
He and I are on completely opposite sides of that question. I wish people would understand that if you don't stigmatize one set of behaviors, you can't celebrate another. You can't say of the family that doesn't accept them and that says, we will do it on our own, thank you very much. You can't celebrate them. I want the culture to say of them, you guys are wonderful. And destigmatizing food stamps makes that impossible.
Well, I totally disagree.
Representative Jan Schakowsky is a four-term Democrat from the suburbs of Chicago.
It implies somehow that these low-income people are wanting to be freeloaders and the federal government helping them.
Do you worry about hurting poor people over the long term at all?
Not at all. Most people are on the food stamp program for less than a year. 1 out of 4 American children now gets food stamps. Do we really want to take food out of the mouths of hungry children? Shame on us.
I have to smile, Brett, because otherwise I'd erupt. I guess they don't understand that people like me aren't just stingy and don't want to spend money on food stamps.
Someone listening to this could say, Charles Murray is saying that the government is making people lazy.
You know, that's obviously a simplification of what I'm saying. But if you rephrase it slightly and say, Charles Murray says that the government is systematically undermining a civic culture of independence that was a great American treasure, that's pretty accurate.
So Murray, now 70 years old, finds himself back in another fierce battle of ideas he believes must be won. But his latest book, Coming Apart, says that battle is being fought on new turf. He says what were once the pathologies of the underclass are becoming the mainstream.
If you go to any working class neighborhood in the United States and get to talking about the guys around town and their attitude toward work, yeah, you'll get some cases where guys are trying very hard to get work and unable to do it. The story you will hear much more commonly is, oh, he doesn't want a job.
Which sounds like someone we met earlier in this hour. So I asked Murray about Jason Greenslate, that blissfully content La Jolla, California food stamp recipient. He surfs a lot. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't want one. He has no problem whatsoever taking $200 a month from taxpayers. Are you surprised we could find someone willing to tell us that?
Doesn't surprise me a bit.
Jason's not an anomaly.
No, Jason has cousins in every town in America.
And stories like Jason's trouble Murray, not because of the money wasted. It's the lives, Murray believes, that are being frittered away.
That guy is kidding himself. He is passing time as pleasantly as possible right now. That's not what constitutes a satisfying human life. The sad thing is that the whole philosophical grounding of the welfare state encourages people to think of life in terms of the picnic.
Or as Jason would call it, the rat life. He gets the last word after the break. We end our show by checking back on Jason Greenslate. Unemployed musician, beach bum, doesn't want to take a regular job with a regular boss. We wondered how Jason's fellow Americans would feel about helping pay for food stamps for someone like him. Turns out, according to a Fox News poll conducted for this special, they have a problem with it. Overwhelmingly so. But as John Roberts learned, Jason doesn't understand why.
This next song we're gonna play, No Job. To be a part of Rat Life, you can't have a job.
You can't have a job. The wisdom of 29-year-old Jason Greenslate.
And now you have to have a food stamp card.
EBT, snap, homie.
Snap.
I ain't got no mother job. I'd rather be broke, steal, and rob.
In case you didn't catch those lyrics, Jason's singing, I ain't got no MF job. I'd rather be broke, steal, and rob.
Tell me what's behind no job.
Have no job, living the dream, doing your thing.
So living the dream is having no job?
Yeah.
And how is that going for you, by the way?
It's going great, man. Yeah, it's going really well.
Broke down, run around here, we come up and down. Won't you come party with me?
You see the girls dancing up on the tables and while we're playing music. It's an everyday thing. $200 from the man, that's what's up.
This is the plan, this is the long-term plan.
Yeah,
all right.
It's the job.
Jason does aspire to something more. His band has signed with a record label. It doesn't pay them anything yet, but he believes it's the start of something big.
Tell me about the record deal. You in the studio yet?
Yeah, we've been in the studio. Hopefully the fireworks start going off.
So where do you see this all going?
To the top, man. To the sky.
Heaven knows, Jason Greenslate might actually make it. Or maybe his destiny is just the rat life. If so, he's okay with that. Especially if you're still willing to pick up the tab.
Some are rich and some are poor. Some are...
The food stamp program was designed to be for a point in your life where you were, down, things weren't going well. It's not, quote, a point in your life. It's kind of, this is life for me.
Yeah, this is how I live, man. Cute chicks, doing my thing, This is the way I want to live, and I don't really see anything changing.
It used to be that, if somebody's on food stamps, it's like, hey, they're on food stamps, loser.
Like, why would it be bad in any way? It's free food, it's awesome.
What would you say to somebody who's looking at this saying, I'm working hard, paying taxes, so that Jason can live his surfer lifestyle, be in his band, and get $200 a month to buy good quality food?
Thank you, taxpayers. Thanks.
Do you feel guilty at all about doing this?
No.
Rugged individualism. It's a term that attempts to capture the American values of hard work, self-reliance, and pride in pulling your own weight. Those values and a legal and political system that reward them help explain why America has prospered like no other country. At the same time, we're also a compassionate and generous people willing to help the poor and feed the hungry. Our nation must find harmony in these two values so as not to lose all that made America great to begin with. That's our report, but the conversation continues on Twitter. Let me know what you think. Again, use the hashtag Fox News Reporting. Thanks for watching.